Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing tonight, Jared?
That's a loaded question, Ollie. That's a loaded question. I'm good because I'm with you, man. I'm troubled by what's going on in our country, and I wanted to make do a special episode and get it out so that we can kind of help bring some calm to people and some leadership and direction. Because I feel like a lot of people want to do a lot of things right now, and nobody really knows where to go.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we can share some experiences and some insights there. And really, I think this is what On Purpose was for.
Yeah.
Times like this, when people are like, okay, they're questioning a lot of things. There's a lot of chaos and turmoil and information and misinformation. We couldn't sit silent. Like, we owe it to our kids and our future kids and our grandkids to get this right.
Definitely.
Because this is an issue that generations have gone through repeatedly, and it's still here. So it's time to change. So I appreciate you coming in, and we're doing one late at night for those of you guys watching. We usually shoot in the morning, so no coffee.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about all this?
I'm feeling passionate. I got to attend my first Black Lives Matter march this morning here in Fort Collins. It went to the square. We marched down Howe Street, went to the square, and I got a chance to speak as well. And there was a lot of young people. It was organized by some CSU students. And I also had some interviews today and yesterday, specifically with people of color who sharing their thoughts and experiences. And I've been seeing a lot, but what I have been seeing is there's a lot of passion, and there's a lot of unity, and there's a lot of people stepping up to support this cause. I think everyone truly wants a more united America, and I feel like this is a revolution, man. I feel like this Black Lives Matter movement is different than any of the ones we've seen before.
Why do you think it's different?
I think number one is because we're getting so much more connected with social media that we saw the whole thing with George Floyd. We saw that video. Trayvon Martin, 2013, it was just words against words. We didn't have video footage, but now people are stepping up, filming these murders, and it's holding people accountable.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Here's, to me, why this one is so universal. It doesn't matter race, religion, sexual orientation. The previous cases, there was always kind of an out. People would say, well, we don't know all the facts. Right, because you only saw part of the video or a second, or what was his criminal history? What was this case? We didn't know all the information. But this video is so atrocious. So you feel guilty watching it.
Mm-hmm.
That nobody has an excuse. There is no offering you can come up with to say what you watched is not only wrong, it's criminal, and it's probably one of the greatest devaluing of human life that I've seen in our country.
It's horrific, yeah.
And the fact that it happened on a big city street in the middle of the day, thank God other people were there to film it, because otherwise you'd have another, well, we don't know how it happened. You could easily have a cover-up. Because you have one officer that did this and 3 that did nothing to stop it. So I think that's why everybody of all races is united, because this is so egregious. It's literally the one everybody can go, okay, this has to stop.
Yeah.
Or the others you could, some people could isolate themselves or separate themselves. This one you can't. Like, there's no explanation for this. There's no reasoning for this. So I'm thankful it brought us together. But now, here's the thing. We got to stay together.
Yeah.
all of a sudden, right, because now other people are infiltrating the protests, which started peacefully, and they were doing exactly what they were designed to do, but now we're starting to see it morph into riots, and I don't truly believe it's the same people that have been peacefully protesting, because I've seen those go off successfully. So now we have other people looking for opportunities to create anarchy, to create disruption, using this to further their own agenda. What happens there is we start to get separated again. And if we're going to make change, it's not for African Americans and Hispanics and rural people and city people and gay people and straight people. Like, it's humans. Like, let's get this right so that we don't have to pass off to our kids, hey, Dad didn't have the courage to speak up, so you're going to have to deal with this down the road. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different viewpoints on what we should be doing and how we should go about this. And one example of something new that I've seen that I think is kind of a double-edged sword is this kind of push of white silence is violence. And I feel that I understand the intention of that push, and I think it's great, but I think that it can be done a little bit better because, frankly, silence is not violence. They're two different things.
That's a good point.
But I think that, especially from the black community, for me as a colored man who is not black or white, I think I have a unique perspective of being able to kind of see things from being a colored man who's not black, right? And
because you didn't fit into either group.
Right. But I also am really grateful because I feel like I've been welcomed and included in both groups and being able to navigate around this line very fluidly. And one of my best black friends from Texas shared something very powerful that I actually reposted on my Instagram. His name is Montel. He had shared that, people of color, please don't go in aggressively on our white allies, our white brothers and sisters. A lot of white people don't feel that it's their place to speak up or feel that they even have the right to speak up because there's a lot of this animosity towards oh, well, you have white privilege. Oh, well, you don't understand. And that's kind of what I have seen in my experience over the past few years. But what I think is beautiful now is that the black community and lots of black people are asking for help.
Yeah.
Like, please, my white brothers and sisters, please help us. Please speak up. Like, I went to the march because one of my black close friends, like a brother to me, asked if I would come and support. And I said, of course, bro.
Right.
I'm there. But I think that just like anything, we need to continue to have communication and continue to discuss what we can all do to better this situation that has been a problem in America for a long time.
Long before we were alive, and let's hope it doesn't stay that way long after we're gone. But you bring up a good point, and we cannot dismiss people's opinions or input or their ability to help us make change because they haven't been through it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the greatest thing about America is our diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So just because I'm not African American, just because I'm not Hispanic, doesn't mean I don't have something to offer to help as the solution. So I should have a voice. Like, if I choose to step up, we should be able to talk about this. And that's not saying that my way is right and your way is wrong. I think that's where we have such a tough issue with race around here.
Mm-hmm.
Is every time you talk about race, somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case. We have different opinions because we're different.
Mm-hmm.
We have different experiences because we're different. That's okay, because in our differences is probably a common solution. But we only want to solve it with people that look like us or act like us or have the exact same thing. But think about that for a second. If you're only around people that see the world exactly like you do or have the exact same experience as you do, the change you want to see is for that group, which doesn't work for other groups. So then you're still out on an island by yourself. If we want universal change so that we know it's always, people will be treated and respected like humans with dignity and honor. Let's all work towards that.
Yeah.
Let's respect each other's opinion. Let's get over the fact that on race, one of us is right and one's wrong, because guess what? The way it is right now, we're all wrong, because we can't sit down civilly and have conversations. We can't sit down and mutually disagree about something, but still find a common ground to say, this should change. And this is a unique time for us because we got Corona. We got a loss of freedoms. Americans are questioning their governments from both parties and everybody in between, because nothing is what we thought it was. And then you add this on top of it. This is a great time for the people of all colors to remind the government that we're in charge. You work for us. You know what? Local police, we want to know your standards. We want to make sure that you're hiring the people that act like us, that look like us, that represent us. White House, we want somebody in there. Congress, take back our power, but let's do it together. You know, the white silence is violence, right? All that does is separate people, right? I mean, it's time to get past that, because isolated groups don't solve universal problems.
Yeah, and I think what's beautiful, Jared, is I am seeing a lot of this unity. I am seeing a lot of focus on the positivity. And I think what's important is, I think you said it in an earlier episode, is that we are all our own news broadcasting stations today. We can share something and hundreds of people will see it. We already know the national news media. We know that it's owned, everything is owned by a very small group of people with a biased agenda. We don't know anything for sure, right? We're continuing to learn things, but a lot of people believe that sometimes fear and all this stuff that they put out there is meant to separate us.
Absolutely.
So we can't buy into that and focus. I mean, so many people here know that quantum physics is true. The law of attraction is true, that we are divine beings that can manifest things. So if we're always focusing on the news, big letters, bold, racism, injustice, okay, that if we focus on that, we're not going to make progress. We have to acknowledge it, yes, that racism is horrible, but let's focus on unity, love, positivity, reform, the things that we actually want to see. Yeah. And that's why I do disagree with aggressive motivations, even though I do understand the intention is good, but aggressive pushes like white silence is violence or anything that is separating. Right? We need to, even Mother Teresa, she said, you will never catch me at an anti-war rally. You will never catch me there, but I will be at a pro-peace rally.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want the focus to be on something
against
negative.
Something. Yeah, I agree. And if you think about when this first happened, there was no white silence is violence. There was everybody was together. Mm-hmm. And the protest started. And from what I've seen, I don't watch a ton of news, there was all kinds of colors of people at the protest.
Yeah.
So that could be scary for people in power if all of us are showing up demanding answers.
For sure.
So then slowly what trickles out? You get the anti-white stuff, and then you get looting and riots. So it's what's easy to do. It's easy to say, oh, white people are silent, they're not helping the cause. It's easy for other people to say, oh, look at the protest, now they're rioting and looting, I can't support it. It just divides us because we know the reality is none of that's probably true. Right? Are there some white people that are racist? Absolutely. Are there some African Americans that are looting? Absolutely. But there's a lot that aren't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white people that want change. There's a lot of African Americans and Hispanics that want to be treated fairly. So why do we constantly look for the differences of why somebody shouldn't belong, why you shouldn't be able to help, why you shouldn't have a voice, instead of saying, no, everybody is welcome, right? We can't want change and everybody treated with the same dignity and respect if not everybody's welcome. And I think that's where we've been for so long, that we've got to change it. That's all of our jobs. Like, I may not be right.
Mm-hmm.
I may not have all the answers, but I'm not going to just sit and pretend I don't see a problem. And maybe my answers or my thoughts aren't a solution, but maybe our conversation sparks something new and you change the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's key is we need to continue to communicate. We need to continue to talk. And this is a revolution, right? This is a point in history. Everyone was just quarantined for 50-something days. We're not even, we forgot about coronavirus, right? People are out protesting that there's things that are happening that have been prophesized, right?
Yeah.
Of times when this happens, the overthrowing of governments, and these things have been building up. So it's important for us to unite, to continue to have these conversations, and most importantly, push positivity and push love and push what we want to see, and be open-minded, because nobody has all the answers. We need to communicate and try to figure things out together. One example was I shared some of my opinions a few days ago, and I got a little backlash, and I rethought about it and was like, you know what? Maybe that's not what I need to focus on, and my intention. And I'll share about it because I wanted to play the devil's advocate. And I spoke about, okay, let's look at what black privilege can be, right? And that term isn't thrown around.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what? Let's look at from our Martin Luther King days, because I had given that I Have a Dream speech at the Estes Park Library in January, and it was my first time really dissecting that speech. What was he asking for? What was his dream? And let's not forget that we have made a lot of progress. Like, I hate seeing my black brothers and sisters claim victimhood and claim that, like, my life is so bad, my life is so hard. Okay, there are racist deaths, but let's also remember how much progress we have made as uniting. He was advocating for blacks and whites to be able to sit at the same table and go to the same
Martin
schools.
Luther King Jr.
Yeah, we're far beyond that, to where, but after kind of preaching some of that, I realized it's not the right time for that. Right now, we need to be supportive, and we do need to continue to acknowledge what just happened, the murder of George Floyd, and continue to push in that direction. Right, but I also think that it's easy, and I made this reference today. It's easy when we're passionate to let emotions really run and let that fire burn. I use the analogy of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was the #1 show on Netflix right now, and in that show, it's a cartoon show. There's a nation of firebenders. Yeah. They use this fire, and that burns everything in their path. And I think acting out of all this emotion is what we see resulting in riots, resulting in looting. That's not going to help anybody.
No, but I think the next step is, okay, the country's aware. The country's aware we got to make changes. Protesting has done that. It's continued to keep it. What do we do next? What do we want to change? What actually do we want to see? And how do we create it? And what I encourage our listeners to do, and I encourage it on social media today, is don't look to Washington, D.C. Don't look so big picture that it seems impossible to make change. 90% of your police work is done at the local level. That's your city, your counties. Focus on them. Let's start by having dialogues with the people that service in our local communities and model change there, and then we can progress. But too many times in this, we think the federal government is going to come in, and they're not. And if they do, it's not representative of you, because that's decisions made in Washington, D.C., not Fort Collins, Colorado, not North Platte, Nebraska, not Tucson, Arizona. They don't know the dynamics. They don't know the nuances of a community. Is it a blue-collar mining community? Is it an upper-middle-class, college-educated, research-type community, right? They're two different policing models. And we should know, what are the standards for our cops? Like, I live in this city. What does it take to be a policeman here? I should know that. Mm-hmm. And we should be okay, because that's the follow-up step. If you want everybody treated equally and you want everybody treated the way they should be by police, okay, that's great. We want that. How do we get it? Well, it starts by educating yourself on, what does it even take to be a policeman? How do you get hired? How do we background check you? What kind of training do you receive? What kind of education do you have to have? What kind of ongoing education? What kind of diversity are we having? Right? Because now the emotion is wanting to change, the marching, what we're doing now. But that dies away. It's happened to us before. We get sidetracked, we get distracted, we move to something else, and no change occurs because we haven't changed the fundamental processes that create police officers. That's where we create success. That's where we see change, is when we change how we train them, how we hire them, what are we looking for.
And that's not going to change with the president, right?
No, he has no say. Law enforcement is not nationally sanctioned. It's not a profession by that standard, right? Not the same like medical, lawyers, dentists, doctors. They have certain national standards, and then they get a state license. Law enforcement is state to state and locality to locality. So let's organize our leaders in our community, our religious leaders, our business associations, our youth athletic leagues, anybody that you look at in your school district, a great ally to have because they educate the future kids, right? Look at your community and go, okay, what are the big companies here? What are the big industries here? Okay, let's get people from them. And then when we go to the police chief and request a meeting, we go to the sheriff and request a meeting, it's not just one segment of our community. It's the whole community. And guess what? Businesses, churches, schools, you need high-quality police officers because they directly impact your ability to provide service.
So you're saying to make real change for our local police departments, you're suggesting we ally with school districts, business organizations, maybe your chamber of commerce, big businesses around.
Downtown business. Think about the investment the Downtown Business Association here in Fort Collins has in the police.
Right.
If they go out and mistreat 2 bar fights next weekend, and that goes national, what impact does that have on these businesses?
Yeah.
Right?
Huge. People.
Huge.
Yeah. So you build your alliance and then you request a meeting with the sheriff. Is he the one who decides?
Well, he would be your county, or like we're in the city, so we'd have the police chief.
Okay.
Right, and I think it's an important difference, right? Chief of police are appointed by your city mayors or managers.
Okay.
So that's their boss. Sheriffs are elected. They're elected officials. They want.
So who is the individual or the few individuals that decide the requirements to become a police officer? Is it the chief of police?
The state has standards.
Okay.
And then agencies can either can increase them, but they cannot decrease them. But I think you'd be shocked if you looked at what it takes to actually be a policeman in some places.
Right. And I mean, that's what you're doing, is training police officers in the nation to be
better.
To be better,
dude.
Right.
And this isn't a plug for my police stuff because that's completely irrelevant. This is hey, if we want real change, it's going to take work.
Right.
Protesting, marching in arms, having politicians come down and violate the mask policy that they mandated for the entire nation, violating social distance so they can get their picture taken. That's bullshit, to be honest. Notice I didn't say politicians and our allies. No way. I don't want any politician because they're playing to their own benefit.
So Jared, can we come up with like an on-purpose plan? Because I'm not informed, honestly.
See, that's the thing, right? I just had this talk with somebody earlier, and they're like, well, protesting is all we can really do.
Right.
And I'm like, if you don't have the information.
Yeah. But
if you get the information... Right, and that's where we've dropped the ball. We've protested, we've raised awareness, and then we never had follow-up.
Right. Well,
the follow-up was where change takes place.
Exactly. And I think right now everyone keeps going. We're going in a cycle. We're repeating history, especially with the youth. Today it was organized, like I said, by college students and the youth. Kind of the same thing. And what I'm seeing a lot on social media is like, go vote. Go vote. But you think of, we had our black president. We had Barack Obama through Trayvon Martin, through all of these deaths. The president isn't, voting for our president isn't going to change anything. So I think what we need right now is what you're saying is to spread the correct information and for people to take over in their local communities, in their local neighborhoods. And that's where the leaders need to step up.
And that's where you start, right? And then all of a sudden you start wherever you're at, and then the town next door goes, hey, wait a second, we should do something like that. Mm-hmm. And then the town next to it, and then suddenly you are changing culture. You're changing behaviors. You're changing the process. So yeah, I'm down. Like I cannot look my kids in the eye and tell them like this is the best I could do. You know, that just doesn't sit with me. And I actually had a conversation today with somebody that told me that the best thing that we could do right now is all white people stay out of this. And I looked at her and I was like, just tell me more. Why would that be good? And she said, well, you know, the white people that are going to the protest, you know, a lot of them are skinheads and racists, and they're the ones that are doing all the looting and making black people look bad. And I disagree with her completely, but it's her opinion, and at least she had the courage to share it. So I was like, well, I disagree with that, but I didn't even spend energy trying to tell her my opinion because it was her turn to talk. Like I just listened to it. I don't even know if she knows my oldest daughter's biracial. I met her when she was 10 months old. I adopted her when she was 4, and I am her dad. She's not my stepdaughter. She's my daughter just like my other kids. We've never said that word in my house because it does not exist. Our relationship is more special than a lot because we chose each other. And so when she said that, I'm thinking to myself, if I listen to your advice and I don't step up because I'm not the right color, I would then be telling my daughter, hey, sweetheart, you're going to have to deal with this on your own because I have to be quiet now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No way. But I think it's a good example, right? I disagree with her, but we didn't have to get to the point where one of us had to be right and wrong. I listened to her. I thought don't agree with it. It wasn't a time that it was a long conversation. She was kind of just sharing it and then leaving. So at least I have her perspective. And I think we got to get to that point where it's okay to talk about race. It's okay to disagree about race. It's okay to find common ground. But what's not okay is sitting silent. No matter what color you are. Because silence is not going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the world is calling for everyone to step up and do their part and voice their opinion. And by us doing that and having productive conversations and then taking action.
Right. And you have people's attention, right? You see, I saw a police chief and police officers taking a knee. Right? Do you remember when Kaepernick's taking a knee through the world up in arms? Oh, my God, I can't buy Nikes because the guy took a knee. Now I was saying like, oh, that actually probably made sense now. Right? So now you literally have police officers marching with the protesters. Police officers taking a knee. That means we have their attention. That means there's an open door to have meaningful dialogue and change, but we have to show up prepared. We have to know what we want to change.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the most important piece, Jared, is to have a strategy. Because today I saw a lot of passion.
Yeah.
People are fired up. People are ready to do what it takes right now. Most of the nation is just believing that protests are going to make change, which is good, but we need to take it a step beyond that, like you said.
Right.
And I think what we need is the spread of good information that's a strategy. Hey, contact your local chamber of commerce, contact your local mayors, a list, right? And a step-by-step, just like running a business is an SOP. I mean, the media is running their business, and as people, we need to conduct ours.
Yeah, no, I agree. And take a minute and look at, okay, who are what you call like the power players in our community? Who are the organizations of influence? They have a vested interest in having a well-trained, highly qualified police force. And, you know, it benefits their bottom line if they're a business. It benefits the school district. And that's somehow we got a lot away from this, but a community is everything. It's schools, it's hospitals, it's business, it's police, it's fire, it's the roads department. It's all one big community. So let's take back our power in the community and voice having some say in who gets to serve our community, because it is an honor to serve a community. It is a privilege and an honor. And what happened in Minneapolis disgraced it. Period. But we have a choice to step forward, which we're doing, but now we have an obligation to follow through and create meaningful change so that we don't pass this on to any other generations.
Amen. Well, I'm on board and excited to create change with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's it's what we do. On Purpose podcast is not designed to take the easy road for anything. And I think we're in a unique position to help lead and to help share and to help follow. And I applaud you going out to the Black Lives Matter rally today, because I know initially that wasn't something you thought you aligned with. But it's been meaningful. Today I'm having meaningful conversations with people that I don't have the same experiences as.
Yeah. But
it's respectful, and it's literally therapeutic for all of us.
Yeah.
To talk. And
it is good, and to explore and go see for yourself, because I wasn't aligned with it, because I've been down some deep rabbit holes and recently came across a series of videos talking about how some of the biggest funders to Black Lives Matter, George Soros, some of these guys way up that are racist white people that are investing in some of these Black Lives Matter groups to riot, to loot, to make them look bad. So again, it's just a lot of misinformation. I was like, I want to see for myself. So I that's what I encourage too, is go beyond the articles and the social media posts. And I encourage people to talk to your local police officers. Go check out your local protests, right? Be safe. Be safe out there. But the only way that we're really going to find out the truth is by being active and seeking it.
Or, if you don't want to do that, come to people you trust. We're committed to seeing this thing through. I think ultimately, I don't know what episode we're on now, 60-something. I think all of these were just, without knowing it, we were led to this position, having earned your trust, having shown up, the respect we have for one another, the love we have for one another, to be able to serve our communities now. And we're honored and humbled to be here, and we're not going to let you down. And I don't know that if we have all the answers. I don't know if we'll get it right, but we damn sure won't sit on the sidelines and think it's somebody else's job.
Yeah. We're here on purpose, and we're going to be doing the work.
All right, team, as we wrap up another episode of the On Purpose podcast, we are thankful for having you all on our journey. We want to announce new ways to include you and let you go deeper into our community. First off, we got the onpurposepodcast.com website, where you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, get inside tips, and see what's coming up in the upcoming months. As well as our new launch is our Patreon account. We have 5 tiers where you can decide at what level you want to contribute to the podcast and the community, help support us, continue to push us forward and grow. And it's as little as 50 cents an episode, or $2 a month, all the way up to $50 a month, depending on where you want to be. Perks of this are sneak peek episodes. You get the episodes quicker. You get to contribute on episodes. You get monthly Q&As with Ali and I and special guests. And you get to be a building block for our community as we continue to grow worldwide. With the release of Shelly Davies' episode, we are now international. And we're excited for where the future leads us. So please fit in with us wherever you are comfortable. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We'll see you next week.